Welcome to the Troy Stoeber Show. You don't have to listen, but you're going to hear about it anyway.
You don't have to listen, but you're going to hear about it anyway. This is the Troy Stoeber Show, and I'm your host, Troy Stoeber. We have a very special guest in the studio today. Her name is Genviev St. Clair. And Genviev, get us started. I want to know a little bit about you, but I would describe you as sort of a Renaissance woman because you dabble in lots of different areas. And I know your focus is hypnosis. Maybe you can start by just giving us a little background about yourself.
Absolutely. Well, it all started because I had no other choice but to learn at a very early age how to use my brain in a different manner, how to use my brain to survive extraordinary adversity, to survive the unsurvivable. My skull was fractured. I had multiple severe traumatic brain injuries at a very early age, 4 years old and on. And so I stumbled time and again through the course of my early childhood upon the phenomenon known as peritraumatic dissociation, which is actually when you're faced with extraordinary harm and you have ran out of options to protect yourself. Basically, your mind will split from your body and you enter the realm of the subconscious mind where you no longer feel any physical pain, no matter what's happening to your body, and you no longer feel any emotions either. So you're looking at whatever is happening from a place of absolute peace. And that is frankly extraordinary to experience. I don't wish it upon anyone because it means that you're literally in the realms between life and death. But when you crossed into that realm of the subconscious mind where you're watching the scene free of any forms of emotions in an absolute radical acceptance and non-judgmental way, and you're completely peaceful, you're entering the realm of the absolute incredible capacities of that force of life that is within you to rise above adversity. So basically, my specialization is to help people resurrect from the obliteration of adversity, from the ashes of adversity that leaves you completely destroyed, rise again and rebuild a life, the quality of which will far surpass anything you've known in the past. So that was my very beginning start, if you will, in how I became fascinated by that realm of the mind that is above and beyond what we're taught initially. And so from a very early age, with harsh conditions, obviously, I read a lot because that's what I had access to. So I started reading about the brain and the mind and how to access that place of extraordinary potential. Mm-hmm. And so I never stopped studying. So by the time I was 15 years old, I was already hypnotizing classmates, helping them learn how to overcome blocks and obstacles. My focus was always therapeutic. It was never the tricks. It was always how do we help ourselves when we have issues and problems and obstacles and blocks. And then by the time I was 17, I graduated from the Silva Institute of Psychoorientology in Paris. So that's the famous mind control Silva organization that is really the basis of hypnosis. And then I followed a regular university cursus at the Sorbonne University in Paris, where I did an MBA and doctorate level, DESS it's called in my country, Diplôme d'études supérieures spécialisées, which is delivered by the Department of Doctorates of the Sorbonne, and in international communications, foreign languages, international affairs. So I have like a business background. And then I went into medicine in the United States with trauma, emergency medicines in wilderness environments. So I served as professional ski patrol on Mount Hood, and I'm trained as a deep sea rescue diver. So I have got the medical aspect as well.
I was not kidding when I said a true Renaissance woman. I mean, if you're following this, that's business, medicine.
Brain plasticity,
neuroplasticity. It's extraordinary, Genviev. And the thing is, like, each one of those experiences helped you in a certain way, helped you grow, helped you hone your craft. And we haven't even got up to present day because I know that you have a practice, right? And in fact, I think there's even an entire YouTube channel dedicated to the power of the mind. So you can tell us about that. We can go anywhere with today's podcast. I'm very excited to have you here, by the way.
I'm so happy to be here too as well. And yes, so I have a practice in Oregon. In fact, when I landed in Oregon, the Pacific Northwest, breathtaking beauty, natural beauty of the Pacific Northwest, the Pacific Northwest adopted me. And so, and I found here in Oregon, there is this magnificent collaborated care approach. So I was very surprised to find this absolutely magnificent exchange and collaboration with the medical field. I work extremely closely with physicians, psychiatrists, medical doctors, chiropractors, nurse practitioners, on the conditions of their patients. Basically, when members of the medical field send me their patients, it's because no other approach has been successful. So I am sent the complex cases that are typically resistant
You're the backstop.
to treatment.
You're the backstop.
I'm the last option.
But in many cases, it's very effective. And tell me about the power of being able to go back and correct the effects of trauma. Because, like you said, this radical acceptance from a non-judgmental place. I mean, to me, that's extremely powerful to change or to affect a change upon your life.
So basically, what I do is I help people forensically go back to the causes for the issues they're struggling with today. So we don't just go back to investigate for
Random
no
things.
reason. Exactly. Some people tell me, I'd like to know what happened when I was 2. I said, no, tell me what problem you have today. And we let the mind, from the problem that we're struggling with, whether it's fear, whether it's stress, whether it's lack of confidence, lack of self-esteem, lack of self-worth, because when we're emerging from early life traumatic experience, our self-worth is shattered. We have fractures in our internal sense of self. And how can you lead, not to mention successful, but a quality life if you have a fractured self fabric, right? So that's the core. That's the first thing we address. And when we go back in time, it's absolutely extraordinary. Quantum physics tells us that time and space are illusions, that is our brain translating, and that, time can be folded. And really, that's what we do when we take a current issue, like a conviction that I am not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'm faulty, why am I this way, I should have been that way. These are false beliefs. These are false beliefs that were placated onto us, stuck like labels onto us by others around us who didn't have any other ways to, didn't know any better, didn't have any other ways to help. When we work with hypnosis, we're actually bypassing the conscious part of the mind, going back to the deep sea diving idea. I love that metaphor of the iceberg, because as a deep sea diver, I'm in my element under the surface in water. So when we work with hypnosis, we're diving below the conscious level of the mind, and we're going to the emotional fabric, the feeling part of the mind. And when we're able to reverse the direction, that massive force, your subconscious mind is regulating your heartbeat, is regulating your circulation, it's regulating your cell regeneration, your breathing, all of it absolutely effortlessly. Imagine how powerful it is. While your conscious mind can only do one thing at a time when you're implementing effort. So the force of your subconscious mind is what we work with when we work with hypnosis. We're going down below the conscious level to address the feeling fabric of your life forces within your body. And that's why we have such rapid results.
It's amazing. Going back to the therapeutic effects of hypnosis, you also had a career in the legal aspect of forensic hypnosis. So can you describe for my viewers what it was like to work with eyewitnesses or people who are testifying in court?
Yeah, actually, it's still ongoing. I mean, I still work with forensic hypnosis. So what forensic hypnosis is the application of hypnosis in civil and criminal investigations to enhance the recall of pertinent, important details among victims and witnesses, which may not recall those details initially.
Okay.
So in the same manner as in the clinical world, when I get approached by a case, it's usually a cold case. It's usually cases that have found no resolution.
Once again, you're the last resort.
After everybody Nobody's tried everything else. Nobody thinks of me at first hand. They have to try everything else in the world. And when nothing else has worked, that's when they come to me, basically. And so with it's fascinating with forensic hypnosis. Basically, what we do is we bring the person in the state of hypnosis. So scientifically, why do we have such extraordinary results in the recall in a state of hypnosis that we don't have otherwise? And electroencephalograms of the brain in hypnosis give us that answer. When you enter that state, you're actually igniting chemical and hormonal changes in the brain that correspond, interestingly, to what anti-anxiety, antidepressant prescription medications were engineered to produce chemically in the brain.
Okay.
We actually produce naturally at that level of the mind. So in plain terms, it means we're opening the floodgates and we're flushing out the highly inflammatory stress hormone known as adrenaline, cortisol. And we've all noticed the more stressed we are, the less clear thinking we are, and the more we can't remember.
We've blown our top.
So in that state, the first thing that happens is we're flushing out all of the stress hormones. And as they're flushed out, like you imagine the toilet, you press the flushing mechanism, that blue water comes in and takes everything out of the bowl. Well, so we're flushing out all the inflammation, all the stress levels. And then when that happens, it's replaced, our chemical and hormonal balance there is replaced by a boost in endorphins, dopamine, norepinephrine. So all of these high, good-feeling hormones or a natural opiate system in our body. So immediately our clarity of mind enhances.
Wow.
Memory is supercharged. So that's on the physiological manner. So what happens then is, as somebody enters that beautifully therapeutic state, which, by the way, boosts your immune system because the mind steps out of the way, your body returns to doing what it was naturally engineered to do, is repair, replenish, restore, revivify. So the person starts feeling very good, and then we go back in time to the scene of the crime in a forensic investigation. Who did what happened, who the perps are. And for us, because it's usually me and the lead investigators or the lead defense attorney or whoever is in charge of the investigation, we're basically spectators of the events unfolding around us in the voice of our witness or victim with crystal clarity, and you relive everything, the sounds, the sights, the temperature of the air, the sensation, the emotion. So it's like a 3D animated motion picture that's playing holographically all around us. It's
Excellent.
Absolutely fascinating.
And powerful. And like I said, I mean, it's a shame that we have to wait until the last minute to harness the full power of the mind, because that just seems like such a, like you said, a powerful therapeutic thing, a powerful investigative thing. Well, that's great.
According to Senior Special Agent John Kilnap of the ATF, Bureau of Alcohol and Tobacco, hypnosis may well be the only way to recall those important details that victims and witnesses have blocked out of their minds for trauma. So it's recognized. And even if it's some cases, courts are debating the admissibility of forensically elicited evidence and information. But what I say to people coming to me is, don't take this as an evidence. Take this as an investigation. And then
it could give you clues,
Exactly.
like leads to kind of that you never really had thought about before.
Exactly. And then the investigative team can go after these details in a court-admissible manner.
Okay, so I feel like more people should be harnessing the power of the brain and the power of hypnosis. And so I think I've asked you this before, like, why hasn't hypnosis caught on? Like, why isn't it more mainstream and widespread, and why aren't people learning about hypnosis and practicing it more?
It's been done from the beginning of mankind. We have drawings and hieroglyphs on ancient Egyptian temples of what back then they called sleep temples, basically. And the priest, the high priest, you see them with their hand extended and some energy coming out of their hands, and then you see people coming in. So even back at the beginning of mankind, we were using this. I think there's been some, evolution of certain things like fictionalization and the media and fictionalization, especially back in the old days, that gave very erroneous, very incorrect image of hypnosis. So most people are afraid of hypnosis. They think that when you are going into hypnosis, you're going to relegate the power of your mind to the person doing the
misconception.
hypnosis.
A complete
Absolutely.
misconception.
When in fact what happens is you're regaining more of the control of your mind. I had so many fun stories through the course of my practice here in Oregon, but one woman was sent to me by her psychiatrist. And she called me and said, Genviev, my doctor told me I needed to come see you, so I have to obey my doctor. But I'm going to tell you, I'm terrified because, my husband and I, she says, have been soulmates since our childhood. If you hypnotize me and you change my mind, am I going to lose my husband because I won't be the same person? He won't love me anymore. I mean, that gives us an idea of the misconceptions about hypnosis. My response to her was, well, let me ask you something. So you've got terrible anxiety and depression. If you were awakening in the morning without these conditions, if you were to feel happy and joyful and calm and loving your life, would your husband love you less? And she says, no, of course not. And I said, well, there's your answer.
If our viewers had questions about how to get a hold of you or some of your online products and stuff, maybe you could give us a little pitch about that.
Yes, absolutely. So the first way to work with me is if you'd like to have the most powerful, the most personalized approach is to work with me one-on-one. And so you can do so by contacting me through my website. That's genvievhypnosis.com. And you can contact me directly there. All work these days is remote. So I work with you, with anybody who is interested from the safety and security of your own home, on camera, on Zoom, Skype, whatever modality is best for you. So that's one-on-one. And then I have a very large library of educational content. There's audio sessions that you can download with my voice, and it's studio recording with full sound effects, and it's just magnificent. So that you can own it. Actually, here is one of my audios right here. I don't know if you can see it well, but you can download this. Today we don't do the CDs since nobody has CD players anymore.
Just do it electronically.
But exactly, you can download this. I have books. I'm actually releasing this month a brand new book. It's my first time release of my signature approach. I'm so excited. We're finishing it right now with the jacket and everything. That teaches you how to do what I do yourself. I'm really big on empowerment. Mm-hmm. And even when I work with people one-on-one, I teach from the first consultation. I teach everybody how to understand how to work with your mind, how to do what I do yourself so you become rapidly empowered. So that's one-on-one, and then product. And then, of course, we have a library of educational content on my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/GenvievTV. It's a partner, YouTube official partner channel since 2020. I was so excited to be nominated as an official YouTube partner.
YouTube is so accessible, and it's easy to get your name out, and you can have such a widespread positive effect on people's lives. That's amazing. Wow.
And that's accessible, obviously, 24/7. So you don't need to be able to reach me. So youtube.com/GenvievTV, you have the library of contents, including some sessions there that you can do. And then on Instagram, I have released a number of what I call lightning fast brain rewiring loops. They're a few seconds long, and they play in loop over and over until you decide you click out of them. And I love that because you can play them over your own music if you're running or doing chores. And so you have one for relaxation, you have one for empowerment, you have one for radical acceptance, which helps us deal with things.
Excellent.
And then there is events also. I'm on tour this year, so we're doing public events. There's the career, which we were talking about earlier on.
Becoming a hypnotist.
Exactly. For those of you who decide that you'd like to take it even further, and either just for your own knowledge or help your family and friends or become a professional, I'm a board-certified educator with the largest organization in the field of hypnosis in the world. So when you work with me, it's a 100-hour course, and we also do this at your own time, at your own, according to your own schedule. And so if you're interested in any of these aspects, you can email me at genvievhypnosis.com, or you can text me also, sending your name, email address, and phone number to 503-887-8034.
We'll put that up on the we'll put it up on the screen for all of our viewers. Oh, that's amazing! On today's version of the Troy Stoeber Show, Genviev has come up with some vocabulary words and some artwork for us to enjoy. So you take it away.
Yes. So I thought we would do a different vocabulary section to bring more interest to the audience, different kind of perspective.
Excellent.
So we can start with Latin. Who is familiar with the word apricus?
Apricus. Latin word apricus.
Which has a lovely meaning of saying full of sunshine.
Full of sunshine.
Apricus, to bask in the sunshine. And then we have the opposite, crépusculum. Crépusculum, which in English you say twilight. In French we say le crépuscule. So you notice how close it is from the Latin. And then we have pour les siècles des siècles in French, which in Latin comes to per omnia secula seculorum.
Per omnia secula seculorum.
Excellent. For the ages and ages and ages, which means for all of eternity.
Timeless?
Basically. Yes. The essence of timelessness of the Latin language itself. And then we have manus in mano, which is translated by hand in hand. Manus in mano. And another one, which is inspiring, amor vincit omnia.
Amor vincit omnia.
Love conquers all.
Okay, well, you got an A for your vocabulary because this is all very inspirational. And the thing is, I'm definitely going to have to repeat these.
Per omnia secula seculorum.
We're gonna make grooves, and eventually this is gonna be part of my everyday.
Love it. You know, I even brought like a little. You know, here's a good quote. Dulcius ex asperis.
Dulcius ex asperis.
Excellent. Which means adversity makes victory all the sweeter, or sweeter after difficulties. Dulcius ex asperis.
Genviev is not short on inspiration. I mean, it's just one big smile ever since you walked into the podcast room. So, this is...
Thank you. Verba volant scripte manent. Les paroles s'envolent in French. Les paroles s'envolent, les écrits restent. Verba volant scripta manent. Which means, you know, whatever you say out loud just flies away. But when you put things in writing, you're transferring a legacy that remains.
Is this what inspired you to write your first book?
Well, you know, I've been a reader in childhood because, you know, that's what I had access to. And I was told I started writing before I even knew how to write. So I would just fill out pages and pages and pages of letters before I knew how to write. I was compelled to just write, and then I've written poetry anthology, Emotions, many moons ago, decades ago, and I've co-authored the Chicken Soup for the Soul book, which I'm going to be signing at the upcoming event. Chicken Soup to inspire the body and soul. Motivation and inspiration for, living a life of quality.
What's the artwork?
So artwork.
I like this one. Okay, I saw this one.
We have. Look at this, from the Tao Te Ching.
This will be coming up on your screen, ladies and gentlemen.
Lao Tzu.
That's beautiful.
Anticipate the difficult by managing the easy. So, you know, one of the ways that is so obvious that we can do this, I teach people how to resurrect from extremely damaging circumstances and events and damaging relationships. And when you use education to recognize the signs, the red flags, the pattern, you can avoid all of the trauma by recognizing before you plunge into it what you're facing. So that's one of the clear examples of managing avoiding the difficult by managing the very easy. Surprise you with this one. I don't think I sent it to you. Since we're in America, this is Mitakuye Oyasin from the First Nations, from the Lakota Indians.
Lakota Indians.
Mitakuye Oyasin, which means we're all one. We're all related.
That's really
interesting. From the mineral nation to the plant nation to the animal nation to the human nation to the spirit nation, all our relation, and even to the creator, the ultimate gift of life. Because inside our physical body, as you know, as we all know, we're not a physical body. Our physical body is constantly changing, constantly metamorphosing. And so we're not our body, we're not our brain either, which is the operating software that controls our body, right? We're not our personality. That's an act from the Latin persona. You know, the Latin.
It's all changing. There's neurons in there that are changing all the time.
So if we're not our body, we're not our brain, we're not our personality, what are we? We're life. We're an energy of life.
We're all one.
We're all one.
Mitakuye oyasin.
Oyasin.
Just in case you didn't think the international appeal and the childhood trauma and the hypnosis and the Lakota Indian and she's also involved in motorsports, okay? So
and I was raised in the land of the Formula One GP. You know what I mean? Monte Carlo Formula One is just such an experience.
Genviev, this has been an experience. I mean, honestly, I just want to say thank you so much for being on the Troy Stoeber Show. It's a pleasure to have you here, and you're a wealth of knowledge. I've enjoyed my Latin. I've enjoyed my art for today.
Oh, last thing before we wrap, would you like to know some very fancy insults in French that are super illiterate?
Okay.
Of the most fanciest literature type.
If there's anything I really want to do, I want to insult people so awesome that they don't even know they're being insulted.
Magnificently literary manner. This is what I love about it. You remember Tintin? So in French, we call this Tintin et Milou. Tintin et Milou. You might remember it's from Hergé, which created this incredible series of Tintin et Milou. Let me give you an example of. So that's Capitaine Haddock. He's one of the. So he's a sailor, a captain of a boat, right? And he's one of the lead characters. That's Tintin and that's Milou. So in this series, he's actually insulting people. Captain Haddock, because he's a little bit heavy on the drinking, and he's very grumpy, and he insults people, but with extremely advanced literary fashion. So one of his insults, he's calling people anthropopithèques. So if somebody if somebody rubs you the wrong way, you can call him an anthropopithèque, and what it means is.
Well, anthropology is like the study of human behavior, right? Humans and...
is a intermediary primate between the monkey and the mankind, human. Anthropopithèque.
So, you talk about immature, primitive behavior.
Anthropopithèque, you call somebody an anthropopithèque. Anthropopithèque.
You're acting like a primitive monkey.
Ostrogoth. So,
Ostrogoth
is les Goths de l'Est. Les Goths sont un peuple germanique qui est établi sur le Danube à l'ordre de l'Empire romain. So that dates back from the Roman Empire. Les Goths were a Germanic population that invaded Italy and founded a kingdom in the Theodoric. So you can call them an Ostrogoth as well.
You literally just took over their culture. You just said, no mas.
So these are the kind of terms that Hergé included in this fabulous...
Is this what you practice so that you can insult people?
Exactly.
I mean, that means a lot to me.
Anthropopithèque. She called me an anthropopithèque.
Illustrating once again that Genviev empowers you in ways you never thought possible.
You said this show was going to change us, right?
Thank you so much, Genviev.